Hello, welcome to Modern Indian History Lecture Series, and it's me, Devapriya here. So, we have already discussed the rise of autonomous states in India in the previous video, where we have discussed about the rise of Hyderabad and also Carnatic. So, here we will continue our discussion with the state of Bengal, and it is this area we are going to talk about. So, we will continue our discussion. So, before moving on, let me tell you one thing. It's very important for you to understand the decline of Mughal Empire before going through the rise of autonomous states. So, it is on the decline of Mughal Empire, several states started emerging as independent and semi independent states. So, try to understand or try to remember all these time periods and also the later Mughals from 1707 to 1857. So it's very important. So I have made a separate video on later Mughals, so please do watch it for a better understanding. So now we will continue our discussion. So it was in the year 1717 the Nawab Murshid Quli Khan declared the state of Bengal as an independent state. So earlier it was a part of Mughal Empire, and in 1717 Murshid Quli Khan declared it as an independent state. So even before that, from 1700 itself, Murshid Quli Khan had been ruling Bengal. So he was appointed as a Diwan of Bengal by Aurangzeb in 1700. And at that time, Bengal was the largest and the richest province of the Mughal Empire. And this Murshid Quli Khan used to send tribute to the emperor. And later, when Farrukh Siyar became the Mughal emperor in the year 1713, at that time, he was not satisfied with the amount which was paid by the Murshid Quli Khan. So he asked the Diwan of Bengal to pay more tax, but he opposed. So Farrukh Siyar replaced Murshid Quli Khan with Rashid Khan. Later, this Rashid Khan was defeated by Murshid Quli Khan, and after this, Farrukh Siyar had to accept the autonomy of Murshid Quli Khan. Okay, and he became the governor of Bengal in the year 1770. Okay, and Farrukh Siyar also granted the governorship of Orissa. And Bihar was already under the control of Bengal at that time. And so now the Bengal state means it includes Bengal, Bihar, and Orissa. So when Murshid Quli Khan became the independent Nawab of Bengal, he brought about some administrative reforms. So let us have a look at these administrative reforms. So first of all, he transferred the capital from Dhaka to Murshidabad. Murshidabad was a city which was named after Murshid Quli Khan. And he was very able and powerful. And during his rule, Bengal was relatively free of Zamindari uprisings, and only 3 major Zamindari uprisings took place during his rule. One was led by Siddharam Ray, Uday Narayan, and Ghulam Muhammad, and the second Zamindari uprising was led by Shujat Khan, and the third one by Najat Khan. Okay, and in all these 3 uprisings, the Nawab was successful in defeating them, and after defeating them, he transferred or he gave these zemindaris to his favorite Ram Jivan. And the next reform was he transferred Jagir lands to Kaliza land. So Jagir land and Kaliza land means both are a revenue system only, and in Jagir lands the revenue was collected by the Mansabdars, but in Kaliza land the difference is that the emperor himself will collect the revenue. So that was the difference. So he transferred Jagir lands to Kaliza land, and now he himself will collect the revenue. So next reform was Ijara system. So Ijara system is basically a revenue farming system, and this Ijara system started in Bengal after this independent state of Bengal was declared. Okay, so he granted agricultural loans to poor peasants or poor farmers. Okay, so These agricultural loans came to be known as Takavi. So this term is very important. Takavi. Takavi means agricultural loans. So during his rule, he also expanded trade and commerce. And one major thing about him was that he gave equal opportunities for employment for both Hindus and Muslims. And he died in 1727. So after his death, Shuja ud-Din came to the throne. So he ruled from 1727 to 1739. And he was succeeded by Sarfraz Khan in 1739. And his rule came to an early end when Alivardi Khan killed him in 1740. And Alivardi Khan ruled, or he became the Nawab of Bengal in 1740, and he ruled from 1740 to 1756. During his rule, he was troubled by several invasions from Marathas. Later, he concluded peace with Marathas, and in that agreement, he ceded a large part of Orissa to them. He also paid Chowth of Bengal amounting to rupees 12 lakh. Okay, so during this period, all these Nawabs, right from Murshid Quli Khan to Alivardi Khan, all these people, they had objected to the English on the interpretation of a royal firman given by Farrukh Siyar in the year 1717. Okay, about this firman I have already mentioned in Advent of Europeans. Okay, in that video I have mentioned this royal firman, and this royal firman given by the Mughal emperor Farrukh Siyar to the company, it granted the whole freedom for the company to export and import their goods in Bengal, and they were not necessary to pay any taxes. And in this firman they also received the right to issue passes. That means for the movement of goods, they had all rights to issue passes. And for this passes, one another name given to this pass is that dastak. Dastak is a term which is given to this passes. So this royal firman was very much misused by the company at that time. So all these Nawabs, they objected, and they prevented the English and the French from misusing their privileges and fortifying factories. So Alivardi Khan died in 1756, and later Sirajud-Dowla became the Nawab of Bengal. He was very young and quick-tempered. Okay, and during his rule, he asked, or he demanded, the English to stop fortification, and they asked to. So during this period, the English people and the French were already fighting at the south. That means the Carnatic War was taking place at the south. Okay, and the English started fortifying Calcutta without the permission of the Nawab Sirajud-Dowla, and Sirajud-Dowla he asked the English to stop fortification, but they refused. Okay, so this English people, they were already misusing the firman which I have already talked about. So what happened is that the Nawab captured the fort of Calcutta, and he imprisoned many officials, and this took place in June 1756. And all these prisoners were kept in a dungeon at the Fort William. And this episode came to be known as the infamous Black Hall tragedy, or the Black Hall of Calcutta. So in January 1757, English people, so the company led by Robert Clive and Watson, they recovered Calcutta. And after that, Sirajuddaula, he had to sign the Treaty of Alinagar. Alinagar means it was a name given to Calcutta itself, and this Treaty of Alinagar was signed in February 1757. So all the demands of English was accepted in this treaty. And later what happened is that in March, this English people, they again attacked French settlement at Chandanagar. So when they attacked French settlement, again the sovereignty of Nawab Siraj-ud-Dowla was questioned. What he did is that he tried to balance the power of British with a strong French force. And Sirajuddaula asked the Britishers to stop or to abstain from hostilities against the French. But Robert Clive, he didn't obey Sirajuddaula and he started conspiring against Sirajuddaula. So English East India Company under Robert Clive, they attacked the Nawab Sirajuddaula, and in order to attack Sirajuddaula, Robert Clive bribed Mir Jafar, who was the commander-in-chief of Nawab's army, and Mir Jafar was promised that he will be made the Nawab of Bengal after defeating Sirajuddaula. So the Battle of Plassey was fought at Palashi against Colonel Clive and Admiral Watson on June 23, 1757. So after this war, Mir Jafar was appointed as the Nawab of Bengal and he ruled from 1757 to 1760. And during his rule, he granted the right to free trade in Bengal, Bihar and Orissa, and the Zamindari of 24 Parganas was given to British. So in 1760, Mir Qasim was made the Nawab of Bengal, and when Mir Qasim was made the Nawab, he abolished all duties on internal trade in order to protect the Indian traders, and he shifted his capital to Mongar. And what he did is that Mir Qasim formed a tripartite alliance with the Mughal king Shah Alam II and also Nawab of Awadh Shuja ud Dawla. All these three people, that is Mir Qasim, Nawab of Bengal, then Nawab of Awadh, and also the Mughal king Shah Alam II. All these three people, they conspired against the English and they fought at Battle of Buxar in 1764. So after this war, a treaty of Allahabad 1765 was signed, and again Mir Jafar was reinstalled as the Nawab of Bengal. And at Battle of Buxar, all the three, Mir Qasim, then Shuja ud Dawla, and also Shah Alam II, the Mughal emperor at that time, all these three were defeated, and under the Treaty of Allahabad 1765, Diwani rights of Bengal, Bihar and Orissa was given to Britishers or the English East India Company, and Awadh was returned to Shuja ud Dawla, but from him Allahabad and Kora were taken back. And after this, so after defeating these people, Britishers implemented a dual government system in Bengal, and this dual government system continued from 1765 to 1772. So dual government system means two type of administration. That means the Diwani or the finances was carried out by the company, so company was the Diwan, and the second type, dual government, means two type. So the other part was the Nizamat. So civil and criminal administration was carried out by the Indians. Okay, so they were the Nizam. So Nizamat was carried out by the Indian rulers, and Diwani was carried out by the company. Okay, company was acting as a Diwan. So in short, the company got all the powers without any responsibility, and the Nawab got all responsibility without any power. So that was the situation in Bengal at this point of time. So with this note, I am winding up this lecture, and we will continue our discussion on the remaining topics in the upcoming lectures. So thank you. Thanks for watching.